Hey folks, welcome to Green Hat Gardening. Do an early August update. So everything's, still a bit overgrown, but we are going to start today with the grapes. I was worried that we wouldn't have anything at all, and it turns out, you know what? We're going to have something. We've got some enough grapes in here to try at least. So I'm happy about that. A little disease didn't get all of them, so we'll at least get to sample them. I've got some Bermuda grass coming up under, and I'll have to take care of. Everything's grown very well this year. Been very happy about that. The only exception maybe is the Concord grapes, and it's just not doing well. This is all that it's grown the entire year. Is just this little 3 inches or 4 inches or something. There's hardly enough to speak of. So I've always made the decision that I'll be digging this up and putting it in a pot or something, because the other grape, the Catawba, has grown out vines. It has grown feet this year, almost surpassing the existing spot of, oh look right here, there's the Concord, and here's the Catawba catching up with it, and the Catawba was supposed to have ended back there. So I think we're going to take these two posts up, and we're going to move them down to the end of this spot, and turn, I think, all of this into a compost pile back here. It's going to be kind of a weird L-shaped compost pile, but that'll give us a lot of room to work with, and hopefully we'll have a lot of compost next year as a result of it. Come in here and take a look at the apple trees. They're doing reasonably well. I guess they're not growing a lot at the moment despite almost 2 weeks of rain, but I'm going to start with some fertilizer and see if I can't get them to bunch out a bit more than this. The poor blueberries are still just kind of hanging on a bit. They're not really growing like I want them to. You can see where I pulled the weeds from this section, and I mean, a month ago I had this all cleaned out and it's back again. It's just been impossible to take care of, to keep on top of. But I think going forward, now that I've got this out, I'm obviously disturbing seeds at this point in the dirt. Put several layers of newspaper down and put a thick thing of mulch down on top of it. Is how I'm going to end up, I think, being able to take care of this. I've made significant efforts or strides at getting all the weeds out of the strawberries. Not a lot of the strawberries managed to live, unfortunately. But what I'm going to end up having to do here is making them in the narrow beds, long narrow strips. Just completely redo some of this, maybe once I see some of the heat's passing. You see these giant piles of weeds I've still got to transport. Got a lot to do to get this area cleaned up. This is my little tea plant. It's holding on, and this one's trying its best to live. I just got to keep watering some fertilizer on it. I want to plant them in a row right here and make this my tea garden, my tea bed. The potatoes have finally died down. I'm trying to give them some time to dry out a bit. Maybe another day or two this weekend we will harvest these potatoes and see what we ended up with. The vine borers got all of the squash, every last bit of it. It kind of doesn't matter because the zinnias and a whole bunch of other weeds and things have just kind of fallen over and kind of destroyed this bed a bit. You can't really see any difference between the bed that's over there and this, and I've just sort of let it do its thing at this point. The corn had a terrible germination rate. It's had something eating it like crazy, but we've got a few that's put up tassels. To my surprise. Oh look, we actually have a corn sitting in here. All, unfortunately, all but one of the pumpkins have died. And I've got these covered in Sevin dust to try to keep it alive. I've replanted some pumpkins here that have the shorter growing season in hopes of getting something by the end of fall. But I'm not sure yet whether that'll happen or not. The gourds have been going to town. They're really doing well, and I've got them covered in Sevin dust too. They've enjoyed all this rain, so I'm hoping we get some gourds. I'm having some trouble with bindweed and morning glories that are coming up and trying to wrap into everything. I've got to make some effort to get that down and under control, since I'm actually starting to get a few little gourds up here, so I want that to continue. This would be absolutely wonderful. I would love to have some gourds this year. And here's the third pot there. It's sort of lagging behind, but I will start hitting it with some fertilizer and hope that it comes on, powers through. The tomatoes, unfortunately, a lot of the tomatoes have sort of gone to waste. I gave a lot of thought to just tossing them, but I'll see them through to the end of the year and see if we can get some small bit of production out of them still. I don't hold a lot of hope for it. You can see I've got the bindweed coming up here again, taking over. It's just hard to keep under control. The okra is doing great. I just have harvested a couple dozen okra pods, and I've got to keep them fertilized heavy and hope that they keep producing through the end of the summer. I'm giving some thought, if I can clean this out, to making a second go of okra here. We'll still have some production by the end of the year, I think. The peppers are not faring terribly well at the moment. I've cut a lot of this tomato out of it in hopes of trying to turn the tide back and get them to continue to produce, but I'm not sure. They're showing some signs of stress here for sure, and I need to start bringing some heavy fertilizer on them to keep them continuing to produce. That's completely snapped over there, unfortunately. I hope that wasn't my doing in attempting to get the tomato out of it, but the cayenne has a number of things in here ready to pick. Lots of little things, lots of cayenne to pick there. Looking great. And we'll finally have a little bit of a habanero harvest. Nothing like in years past, but a harvest nonetheless. Jalapenos just have just a few. They're just not doing well in these containers, and I was afraid of that, but maybe I can encourage them to come on somehow. It's good soil, but the fruit's just very small. I recently harvested a bunch of banana peppers. There's a few that I see here that could probably be harvested. But now we're just kind of waiting for this next round of blooms to come out. And I can see that I need to put some nitrogen on this. So everything needs some good fertilizer here. We've had so much rain. I need to add some nutrients back in. So that's early August update for the garden. It's got the typicals of what things are in August, unfortunately. But